Thank you for joining us. We're really kind of going further into these, unlocking kind of the efficiency of the TMS. So what can the TMS do so that it helps you guys as operations managers? What little tips and tricks really will help you get your learners to that next point quickly without taking up a lot of time and a lot of energy? I know a lot of things in the platform take some time. I completely agree. They do take some time, right? And I think as we start to get more and more into the TMS and you really start to uncover some of the really cool features we have, there is that time and effort that needs to be spent in the beginning, right? We have to put the time and the effort in order to get everything set up. But once it's set up, really it's kind of a plain sailing from that point moving forward. We have some really features that kind of aid you, and you have things that you can set up, and then you don't really have to worry about them, you know, until maybe a year or a few years down the line. One of those things being that is the training keys, right? And there's so many different training keys that we have that have really great things to them. There is some good in this presentation, you'll see in the way I show you. There is some positives, and there's also kind of like a con of why you would want to maybe utilize a different one. We'll look really at, you know, what is it that, why would you use it? What is a use case for using this particular one? Why do I want to use a, you know, a registration enrollment key versus a training pool key? And why would I use an event key? And how can I really start to adapt some of those and apply them into my workflows? So obviously, as we talked about, we'll do the introductions. We just did. We did the platform updates, and we'll look at training keys. What are the really good training keys? What do we need, and where do we need them? How are they best utilized? We'll look at best practices, and then finally, we'll just finish up with those lovely prizes and a wrap up. So as we look at straight into our topic of training keys. You know, we're looking at the unlocking the efficiency of streamlining processes so that we can easily create accounts, we can create course assignments, and we can create classes. And you're probably wondering, what do you mean create accounts? When you first get your users in, a training key allows them, if they have never been on our platform before, it allows them to create instantly their account on the platform by simply using that key. It's easy, it's fast, it's a great way. And so they're super helpful so that your users can quickly get to their product that they need to learn, to their courses or their classes. And you can use different types of training keys for instructor-led or for that self-paced. And that way you don't have to manually do this. You don't have to go in and create somebody's account and create a training assignment or create that class. Being, you know, like I gotta now enroll every single student. The other reason why I like them and I find them as helpful and useful as they are is because, you know, if you have the wrong information and you create an account for somebody and you say, hey, I created your account, and let's say you made a spell mistake on their email and you've already given them the course assignment, you know, that's a little bit of a pain in the butt because you've got to go back and you've got to go in and fix those mistakes. Simply giving somebody a key and saying, hey, go to this website, plug in this key, fill in the information. They're filling it all in. You're making sure that they've got everything that they need. You're setting them already up for success. They can utilize their primary email. So maybe they accidentally, or maybe they gave a wrong email address to you guys in the first place. Maybe they've changed their names and now they're using a different email. This is a great way that's just simply giving them that training key, allows them to create their own account, and you don't have to worry. It takes that takes it away from you, and you're saying, I've give you everything currently you need in order to be successful. So when we look at the workflow, I like to break it down here. There's two people that really influence the workflow and how does it go. We have the operations managers, and then we have the student. We also have this little gray area of an if, right? So if the student. So as operations managers, your simple actions are you generate the keys, Obviously, there's a few extra steps front of that, like you have to create your courses and your subscriptions. But if we're looking at just the workflow for the actual training keys, you all simply go in, you generate the training keys, and then you distribute your keys. When you distribute your keys, there's two avenues, and that's where that if comes in. So if the student exists, the student takes over from you, like their action now is to log in and redeem that training key. If there's a new user, we want them to redeem the training key, create the user, but yet the outcome is always the same. It's going to open up the training and learning can begin. So your options for if are existing or new, and for you as operations managers, your simple job is to create and distribute those keys, and it's on the student then to take the next actions. I think it's really important to identify like this whole use case of distributing keys. And the reason why I say that is we do have a way, and this is the most probably popular way, is how do most operations managers distribute their keys? Well, I've provided you here just a sample email. So you're wondering, I've created this, now I've got to get all the keys out to my learners, or I have to get a key out to my learners. How do I do this? This is the way that we do it at Skillable here today. And it's also one of the probably most easiest ways that most of our operations managers also do it. And that is to send a sample email. Create an email, keep it in your outbox, ready to go. All you do is change a couple of things. What it does is it's easy, it's quick, you can distribute it fast. And what you simply do is provide them with the login URL. So it's your login URL. You insert the training key and you say, go to this website and register with this key. I also like to make sure that if the student already has an account in TMS, that it's a little bit of a change. I would, in our situation, what we do is we know everyone is brand new. We know that no one has an account with us. However, there is still on ours the simple little box at the bottom that says, hey, if you have an account, log into your account. You will notice, obviously, as an end user, we changed all the dashboards and we added those nice features. And one of the big things that I really pushed for with our dashboards was a quick and easy place. So right on their dashboard, they could register with a training key. They could redeem a training key. If you remember previously, it was like you had to go into current training, then you had to click register with a training key. And it was like this long process to even get, when you had an account, adding little things like that on the front step allows the user to get access to their content and their learning materials much, much quicker. So what we do is we say, hey, here's a sample email, go ahead, take it, make it your own. You can add a little bit more information if you want. Obviously for technical support, you can, change it if you get stuck or your key doesn't work. Little things, adding little pieces in and making it and customizing it a little bit more to your organization and sending your users where you want. But that's how you would then distribute those keys. Yes, I'm sure you're all probably wondering, well, that's kind of a little bit of a, a little added extra step that may take a little bit longer. Yes, I wish there was an easier way that we can distribute keys without, running into those problems. There are some ways you can do it that maybe change it a little bit. Some of our customers, they create the keys, and rather than distributing in an email, they add them to a secondary platform. And when the student logs in, so for example, if they're a student of an educational institution, they'll add a key in there and they'll say, here's your key. So there's different ways of doing it, but 9 times out of 10, we see most people using this sample email. I know in the feedback, one of our customers is really interested in getting the API to create keys. I don't know how far we can push that one, but I would love it if, you went in and you're like, hey, I agree. If we could have an API that created these keys, I could pull all these keys and now I can distribute a little bit differently. That might be a little bit of an easier. Right now, as of today, you need to work within the platform. So let's jump in and take a look at some keys. We have the enrollment key. What are they best for? Delivering instructor-led. As always, I told you I was going to give you here are really good benefits of using these keys. And here's the things that, in my opinion, are a little bit of a caveat using it. And it's like, it would be nicer if, we could find a better way, but this is the way that these work. When we look at the enrollment keys, these are great for allowing students to register automatically for any instructor-led training with a unique key generated for individual users. So each user gets their own key. The nice thing about that is it's a one and done with the key. If I distribute this key out today to one of my users, they cannot pass that key along so that other people can enroll. It's a one key, they redeem it, and they are done. There can be multiple keys that can be generated to match the maximum number of students in the class. So now you can have as many keys. So if you have up to 20 people in your classes, you can have 20 separate different keys. The caveat of that is, yes, each key has to be distributed to students in an email, and that can be kind of time consuming because you've got to create it, take the key, add the key into the email and send the email out. And keys can only be valid from the key creation to the end of the class. So that after the class is finished, the student cannot join in, they cannot get course, they cannot get any materials after that point. That could be a good thing and it could be a bad thing. To me, most people like their keys to go after the class has ended, simply because they have late registrations. Maybe they still want them to have access to the content that was in the class, but they're not actually delivering it with a stand-up instructor. But they still want them to go in and they still want them to be able to get the material, whether it be, from somebody using it as a vendor. So maybe a specific vendor brought in an instructor, you guys delivered the class, but now the class is over. Only the people that were in the class have access to that content. And maybe there is a couple of people you wish had access to it. When we look at event training keys, on the other hand, same type of delivery. We're still looking for instructor deliveries. And these are great because what happens with these is there's a singular key for multiple users to gain access to the event or the class. Keyword there, event or class. This is my recommendation for this, is if you use this type of key, this key means that if you have 20 seats in your class, I give one key out, that one person goes and registers and then says, hey, you want to attend this event or this class, use this key, see if it works. Now that person that they've shared it with maybe was not supposed to be in your class. And the person who is in your class can't get in because now all the seats are filled with people that really wasn't supposed to be in it. So that is where you see is the caveat, the negative, the con of this is the key allows anyone to redeem, and it requires management of the maximum number of students in the class. So you have to be able to keep track of what's going on. However, when we flip it on the other side, if you're doing an event and you're not interested with how many people attend, you're just saying anyone can attend. Maybe you are offering an event or a class to a vendor and you're saying to the vendor, here is a key, all your users can come to the class or come to the event. We're not interested about setting a stone of who can and cannot attend. We're simply saying you have up to 20 people or higher if you're doing an event. Anyone can register. That works perfect. And it's also a really, really easy way to distribute because you can use the notification plans, the automated notification plans, because you're distributing a single key amongst multiple users, right? So now it's not an individual key that has to go to an individual person. It's one key that goes and spreads out to everyone because everybody can access it. Other really nice things is that they can be redeemed after the class all the way to the post class expiration. Again, if you're delivering some sort of event, right, this would be perfect because now let's say you have a late registrant, they missed the actual event, but you want them to still have access to the content, you can give that key out and say, hey, you can go continue, go do the labs, go do the environments, do what you need to do in the class. It's all still there. When you're building out your classes, you are in charge of how long you want. Most people give 180 days post-class access. So what that simply means is that learners can continue for 180 days after the class has finished. So if the class was to finish today, I would have 180 days from today to continue my learning and continue to be able to get in and access those labs. Again, there is that only thing that people kind of like are a little bit hesitant on, is a single key can in fact be shared out, eat up a seat, and it could end up in a little bit of a sticky situation for yourselves. Jumping into the training key pool, right? This is now more for that self-paced learner. So we've looked at 2 that are available and accessible for all of those instructor-led and events. Now we're looking at something that's for the self-paced. How do you get a self-paced? And a training key pool is fantastic for individual course assignments, and they are course specific. When you go in and you hit the training key pool, you'll see you only have one option to select the course that you want to attach that pool to. This is really nice. It's fantastic for individual uses if you're giving out your end users just one access to one course. There is no limit on the number of keys that you can generate. You can generate hundreds of keys and you can export them for distribution, and they do require that email. The way that most people do this, and again, going based on all the majority of people I work with within the TMS, they export it in an Excel spreadsheet. They keep all of the keys and then they put in the name in one of the columns of the person that they have sent that key to. I've distributed this key to this person. That means if there's multiple people on your side working to distribute these keys, everybody knows that a key has been taken and not to give it out. The nice thing about these as well is you can also go in and check, did this person actually take this key, right? So if you've distributed this key, let's say to Christy, I've said, here is your key, go do it. And I go in and I have a look on the platform of the key that I gave her, and all of a sudden it's registered to somebody else. I can say to Christy, I gave you a key, what happened, right? There's ways that you guys can now start to see and track who is utilizing your products and who is actually using the things that you need. Here is the caveat of that con piece is that the keys can only be redeemed as long as the pools are active. Those do run out within the year. So you do need to keep going back in and making sure that they're all good. And they do require that operations managers, that you guys take the extra step just to keep going in and making sure, you know, hey, are these still active? The last thing you want to do is send a key out or send the keys to a number of people and they say, hey, this key doesn't work and now you got to go back in the platform. So there is a little bit of, like you say, a little bit of work, but streamlining that process of being able to do this. If you build them where you get, you know, you generate like 100 keys for a year, if that 100 keys seems realistic, then go for it. If it seems that, you know, hey, I distribute 30 keys a month, I need at least 400 keys for the year. All right, perfect, boom. You can go ahead and you can create 400 keys and you can distribute the way you need to distribute. They're also good if you have, again, another vendor that you're sending this out to. You can create everybody a course assignment. You generate the keys, you export them, and you send one person, here are all the keys for all of your users to go in. You're in charge of distributing them as needed. And then finally, what's the difference between your training key pool, and your subscription training key pool? While they are both best for self-paced, they have 2 different things. A training key pool is simply for a course, a singular course, and it is course specific. A subscription key allows the student to have access to a subscription that you are providing them. As you know, a subscription is built up of a number of different courses that you are offering them. You are offering them all different ways, all different courses that they can go in and they can take. That is the key difference between a training key pool and a subscription key. One gives you access to a number of courses, whereas one gives you access to a singular course itself. That being said, you have an unlimited amount. That doesn't change. We still allow you to create as many as you wish. They, again, can be distributed by that email and downloaded by the CSV export file. And again, they allow their work for a specific subscription, and they allow access to courses inside of that subscription. The caveat of that is they are only available for a certain length of time. So there isn't a lot of time that you can kind of get in there. You're going to have to go in and do that little bit of management. You have to be able to go in and make sure that you have got everything set up the way that you wanted. And making sure that the times are all specific around what you need. So what we're going to do is we kind of talked over the 4 different keys. I'm going to show you on the back end a little bit of how that looks. I'm sure you're all familiar with it, but I'm just going to run through 2 different keys so that you can see the difference and how that works within the platform. And then we can kind of open it up for any questions or, hey, I've got this use case. I'm interested in learning a little bit more. Okay, hopefully you can all see my login pages. This is to my specific operations manager workshop account. I'm currently just going to sign in. I'm going to sign into this is me as an operations manager. So we're just looking at it from an operations manager point of view to start with. Keys always live right here. I'll nicely bring that up for us. So keys are going to live in here. We can see we have our subscription key, we have our training key. Class keys and event keys live within the class, and we're going to look over one of those in just 1 second. The first one we're going to look at is the training keys. You simply click on create a training key pool, and as you can see right here, here's my organization. Here is my singular course. I am saying here is the course that I am giving access to. I'm going to say, you know what, this learner can have access to the beginner Python course. I'm saying in here, my start and expiration date. The start and expiration date is when the pool becomes active and when does a pool become expired. So that is only for the start and expiration date is only for when the pool keys become active and expire. I've now also got my content availability. So I'm saying this key pool is going to be active for just less than a year. When the user redeems the key, it could be on May the 30th, 2024. Even if they redeem their key on May the 30th or May the 30th of 2024, they will still have access to the content for 180 days. So the 180 days, the content availability is how long that content is available once the key has been redeemed. And that's where people kind of get a little bit caught up on. The start expiration date is for active and expiration to the training key pool. That does not impact the content availability date. That is when the key is redeemed. A user has to redeem and the user has to have access to that content. We simply click the create key. Again, here, this is good for you can create any sorts of keys. You can add multiple keys, or you can simply hit generate keys. You get a pop-up box. And for this, I'm just going to say, I'm going to create 2 keys. As you can see, it's given me 2 keys. What I would do is take these. I can either go ahead and quickly send this out to a user. It's good for a single one-time off. Hey, you know, this learner just needs access to this one course, or I've got like maybe 3 or 4 people that I can send this and distribute to. Not heavily used for really lots of, you know, if you need to keep constantly creating individual course assignments, that becomes more of a challenge with this because you have to keep distributing a single key each single time. A recommended maybe best practice would be, here's a key. go ahead and redeem it. And maybe what you do is you build a subscription profile and it's got the number of different courses in. So if it's got multiple courses, I would say more than 2, I would 100% create some form of subscription profile and give them access to all of the content that way. All we do is simply hit save, and we have literally done that. I can export simply right here, and I can see some really good information, such as when was it redeemed and who was it redeemed by. I'm going to sneakily take this for a second so that I have a key when we go in. But this is how I simply create the keys and distribute by exporting. If we look at how do we do it for a class, so we've looked at the simple process for self-paced. The class can be a little bit of a challenge because you're going to be like, I don't see it. And I'm going to show you how it works. This time we are going to say C#. You're going to have, this is going to be the class. And let's say I'm giving this to the Scalable dev team, right? So I'm saying that I'm delivering a class to Scalable dev team. I can add my description. Again, in here, you can see there's my maximum minimum number of students. I always like to just put this, I always leave it as scheduled, but some people like to put it as complete or guaranteed to run. It is up to you, but I always leave mine as scheduled. I'm going to put just a simple, there's only going to be one training day. It's going to be tomorrow. It's going to be in physical. So if I'm not using the platform, if you do know, you can actually, in fact, add a virtual platform here. So if you're using like a Teams or a Zoom, you can easily allow the student to go to one place to get access into your virtual platform. But I'm just going to leave it as physical, and then I'm going to add my instructor. You're probably wondering, I'm not entirely sure, where is the key? There's 2 options. You can click show the advanced on as you're creating, or you can create and then hit show advanced. You're going to see right here, allow automatic enrollment using a training key. Here, I would do something. If I'm delivering this to a vendor and I'm saying this is your vendor, I'm going to give them, I'm going to create it so that the training key name is specific to that vendor. Scalable, I mean, obviously you wouldn't make it as simple as that, but you can have it so that now when you quickly search for things in the platform that is specific to a vendor, adding their name makes that really easy. And then you have those 2 options between, can you say this key can only be redeemed until the event ends, or are you saying this can be redeemed during and after the event? For this, I'm just going to be nice and say you can continue to use it even after the event has ended. And I've hit save. Oh, I didn't add my delivery time. Go in and double check my Scalable is here. And just like that, when I hit my course, I have access. If I was the instructor, I would be able to see this so I can quickly distribute. Isn't it? They can see right here the key. If this was today, if this was a today one, remember again, if you were on the workshops, if I move this to today, you would see this on their dashboard. So another way, you can distribute the keys easily is if the instructor wants to distribute a key as well, they can easily do that. I'm going to go in for a second, see if we can make a change real quick. Today, let's see if it lets me build it in today. Yeah. So I'm gonna let me change it because I don't have the permissions that do on my other account. But what the instructor would see is they would see on here, and the key also shows on there so that they can distribute nice and easy. When you're looking at how does it look for the student, go ahead and sign out. If I'm brand new, I'm going to register with a training key. I'm now going to just simply fill this in. And this is where I'm saying like the user now can put in their primary email address. You're not having to do this. They can do it. The country now is always has to be added. And I'm just going to leave my time zone. Takes a minute because what it is doing is creating my account, and boom, just like that, he has dropped me right onto my course assignment. How easy was that for the learner? I can quickly go in and start launching. If I go back to my dashboard right here, I can see my dashboard. Here is my course assignment. Here is the piece I was talking about. If they already had an account, where do they go? Right on their dashboard now. They can add. And just like that, I have now enrolled in a class as well. So it's a really, really quick and easy way for learners to get in there. Now we can see here it is both my course assignment, and here is my course assignment, and here is my class that I'm registered in. So there are a little bit easy ways to do things. If you have obviously a subscription, your subscriptions would show as well, but that's a nice and fast, easy way, right? As long as you have the dashboard. If you don't have the dashboard already set up, please make sure you get your student dashboard in place. It looks and feels so much better than any of the other ones. It's got quick access to things. Again, the key redeeming, it's easier than the previous sessions, like I say, where you had to go in and before it was this long process. It is easy to do it right here. Simple, quick and easy if they already have an account. And if they don't have an account, all they can do is simply and quickly redeem a key, create their own account, and it drops them right into the content that you want to deliver. Those are really quick, easy ways that you can use training keys, different types of keys in different types of scenarios. Please go ahead, feel free to play around with them, create different types. It's okay, you're welcome to test out some stuff. But I highly recommend that when you do these, really break them into two separates and then break them even further into, is this for vendors or is this an event where I'm not interested how many people attend? They just have up to 20 people that can attend. That's when you would use the singular key. I really care about who is going to this class. I need to make sure that only these 20 people go. You want to use the enrollment key. Now we have the self-paced side. I want a singular access to a course assignment. I would just use the training key pool. And if I want access to the subscription, I give the subscription key out. And that is how you do it. One other nice thing that I like about the platform is you can create your own, like we did for the event, we created our own key name. I'm just going to log back in again as myself. In the training key pool, when you're here, you can actually make this be your own name. So let's say, for example, again, I'm delivering a scalable self-paced, right? So I'm giving this pool, I'm saying it's for all of the scalable self-paced people. Now they're going to have access to Java. Again, I can change this and maybe say, hey, you can have it 365 days. Here, maybe say in the training key pool, and this is good again if you have a singular course where you're distributing to a vendor where they can create their own key. You can absolutely do that as well. Is so you can have a single, you can change it, you can keep it, you can add different numbers. That is really, really cool that you can go in and you can change and put things to your name. There is one other thing, what I like about the subscription keys is if you create a subscription key, you'll notice down at the bottom you have this maximum number of users per key. So what you can do is you can create a singular key, and you can say this singular key to a subscription can be used 3 or 4 different times, maybe 5. So instead of now distributing 5 separate keys for users, you can distribute the same key. It can be redeemed up to 5 times by 5 users. Again, always bearing in mind that if you do that and somebody takes one of those keys or distributes that key to somebody who shouldn't have access to it, you potentially could run into a few issues with that. Again, is how much information do you want to share out to your learners? How much information do you want for your like making it so that it's, you know, not too much where you have to keep going in and creating lots of different keys, but it's also about, like, if you do create one key, are you okay with them having access to one key for 5 different users and knowing that they're not going to distribute elsewhere? All right, we have great comment. This is really useful. We have been using manual generated class keys, but I had not used the automatic enrollment option on the. Yep, there is an automatic enrollment option. Other great things is if you have your course catalog set up. I don't have mine set up in the right way, but you can in fact allow students to self-enroll. Again, this is if you're giving them access so that people can self-enroll in classes. This is a really awesome thing, really awesome if you are doing an event. And what that does is basically you give them a key, they give them access into the platform. And maybe you're offering, I don't know, let's say 20 different workshop events that they can attend. You can have self-enrollment so that the student can actually go. They can get what would look very similar to the course catalog page, and they can in fact self-enroll into that event or class. That is really, really good, really good. And I also haven't been using the training pools, so definitely some new options. Yeah, there's definitely different ways, different things. Like I say, there's pros and cons to almost anything in the TMS. And as I said, it's almost impossible to do one thing one way in the TMS, right? We have so many different ways to do the same thing over and over. It's just what works best for you and what is the best use case. Hopefully you learned some really cool things about platform. Again, how can you streamline, start thinking things all the way through instead of just this one thought process of here's how I can distribute keys. Think of it as a whole workflow, put it out and go, okay, if we start here, how can we do? So like I said, using the APIs so that you can create classes and courses so you don't have to manually go in and create them. You can automatically do those. The only piece of this that maybe potentially you have to go into the platform is when you start to create your keys. That right there is just the slight caveat that you need to go in the platform. But you can, like I said, you can make it so streamlined. If you look at the big picture, we look at here's how you can get from using the API all the way down to using automated notifications, using webhooks, using APIs, and using the training keys to get your end users all the way through. If you are interested, I know for some of you guys, there's always a lot of interest in what other events we've got going on. The TMS is just going to take a break, so we are not in, we don't have one slated for July. This is obviously the June edition, but we don't have one slated for July, and we're going to be back hopefully in August with some different topics. We have, at least the webhooks that have come out, so we'll be looking at those. And then we're also looking at different things that our platform is working on in development as well, so that we can really push things. I know there's still lots of things in the platform that I have said for maybe the last couple of months that we're bringing out. They are working hard. So obviously we're going to take one off. The reason we're taking July off, I'll give you the truth, is it's my birthday on the day that we would deliver. So we are, in fact, I'm going to take that one off and allow me to celebrate my birthday without having to, thank you, without having to to do my workshop. So that was really awesome. And obviously I'll come back in August, nice and strong, and deliver something. Thank you so much. I appreciate the birthday wishes. As always, you can connect with us. You can connect with us on the Slack and all the social media sites. And for me, I preach this all the time, but the feedback portal is where we live, breathe, everything to do with Scalable. If you think the platform has great capabilities, but you wish it had a little bit more, or this would be awesome webhook to add, go into our feedback.scalable.com, add your feedback. I highly recommend if you do that. If you send me an email and say, hey, Bev, I created this feedback, can you take a look at it for me and get some likes and posts and feeds and information? I will absolutely do that, right? I am somebody who will go in and I will vote for it. And I will also share it with customers that I know do the same things that you guys do. And maybe they also probably could benefit. Hence why we try and get that feedback portal, so we can kind of get a view from every customer that we've got and how that feature would really benefit everyone involved. I thank you for joining us today. Hopefully you have a wonderful rest of your Thursday. Like I said, cannot believe we are at the end of May, June 1st today. I hope you all have a great summer, and we will hopefully see you back in August.